Just two questions. So what would constitute a dorscon rate? Because based on your current guidelines, closures of workplaces and schools would come under dorscon rate. So what is your current definition of dorscon rate then in this unprecedented situation? And how far or how near are you to a lockdown? Because many Singaporeans would effectively see this as a lockdown.
Thank you. And under a dorscon rate, we will have to expect to see many uncontrollable outbreak, and there's widespread community transmission, and there's very difficult to continue to do contact tracing and to do containment and quarantine, because we will just have to rely purely on safe distancing. So that will be the scenario where you are in dorscon rate. As I mentioned, today we are not in dorscon rate because we have not given up on contact tracing. We have not given up on containment, on quarantine. So we are in fact doing the opposite. We are stepping up our capacity in order for us to do contact tracing, to do as far as possible to ring fence the transmission, to contain it, so as to reduce the number of new cases, the number of unlinked cases gradually. So I think we are not yet in dorscon rate, and we are quite a distance from dorscon rate. We have to focus on the immediate tasks of increasing safe distances among our population, and stepping up on our containment efforts through contact tracing and through containment. And it is important for Singaporeans to cooperate with us. Even as we do contact tracing, we will find that sometimes our patients are unable to recall their contacts, their history, and sometimes they also are not truthful in not sharing some of the contacts that they may have. This will hamper our efforts in containment and in contact tracing. So I would appeal to Singaporeans to help us, share with us openly, because this is a matter of public health interest. So we do want to get down to the bottom of all the information as much as we can, so that we are effective in our contact tracing. So I seek the cooperation and support of fellow Singaporeans. If you are one of the contacts that we are tracing, please help us and share with us who are your close contacts, so that we can be effective in contact tracing. Maybe I ask Prof. Mark to add on if there's on the issue.
Yes, dorscon reflects our risk assessment as to what the local situation is like, and as what Minister has explained already. We look at the degree of community spread in the country, and we also look at our ability to control that spread within the community itself. So at this time, while there is an increased amount of community spread as opposed to 1 month ago, it is still a belief that this is a situation that we can potentially control, and therefore we are not making any plans at this stage to move into dorscon rate. If we were to consider dorscon rate, it would be in a situation where, because of our inability or failure to ring fence, isolate, contain, and prevent further community spread, then the thrust of our strategy changes towards some level of mitigation in order to make sure that our health system and its resources are sustainable in the long haul. And we are clearly not at that stage just yet. We will look at a variety of different parameters as we determine what that risk of community spread is. We look at the number of cases as they come on. We study the type of cases, whether or not they are potentially linked to existing clusters or whether they are unlinked. And as further investigations carry out, we look at our success at being able then to establish these links to these clusters. We look at our ability to prevent further spread even within a cluster, to ensure therefore that there are no further transmission that occurs after we've made an attempt to ring fence and isolate. So these are some of the measures that we would put in place, some of the factors we look at to assess whether or not our containment strategies are successful, and they would also influence us as we assess whether there is a need in the future to move to dorscon rate.
Just a quick response to the point about a lockdown and the question whether this constitutes a lockdown. In fact, even when we introduced the last round of measures last week, people were already asking us. In fact, I think some members of the media had asked, was that a lockdown? So rather than, use the phrase lockdown, which means different things to different people, let's focus on the specific measures. And what we are doing today is a significant tightening on top of what we had just introduced last week because we think this is necessary. But with these measures, we are not stopping all work. We are not shutting down the economy, right? Essential businesses will continue. We are not stopping people from going out if they really need to for work where it's essential, or to get their food, groceries, or even to exercise amongst their own family members. So there are clear guidance, rules that we have laid out, but it is certainly a very stringent set of measures that will impose more restrictions on people's movements. And so once again, we call on everyone to cooperate, to work with us, and to show in this time of crisis that Singaporeans can be resilient, can be united, and we all can be disciplined in doing what is necessary to protect ourselves and save lives.